Bonjour, hello, guten Tag. This is
Mahlzeit.
The newest episode of Draw for Initiative Podcast Edition. This is Daniel, our moderator, my husband. This is Tina, my partner in crime and co-painter and co-show runner of this series. My name is Sarah. I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, owner of this channel, and half of the weird brain that does the paintings. And today's question is...
Well, today I want to ask you about something that is not quite there yet, but may come in the future.
Corgis?
Possible future. Today's question is, what board games would you like to see being made so that you can paint them?
Oh... Gosh.
And I think to give you a frame, I guess since we already established in a prior episode that social interaction is one of the inspirations for drawing and theme might be another one for doing that, I guess you could answer this with both. So actually three things. You could talk about what game from a just pure mechanical point of view, what kind of game would you like to see that you could draw for, or a theme that you would like to draw, or a game that kind of encourages a specific social interaction. Let's put it that way. So something, just to give an example, something maybe like The Resistance, like a social deduction game, for example, or for theme could be something like steampunk, or for a gameplay mechanic, it could be like stabbing someone in the back. No, not as a game, just real stabbing in the back.
Okay, but that's not a game anymore.
Great.
I do actually have one thought for mechanic and theme. So very recently, that awesome book and movie, The Martian, was pretty popular, and I thought, how cool would it be to have a board game that has the mechanic of like keep talking and nobody explodes, where one player is on Mars and the others have to kind of communicate and help him out, but not really. Maybe that kind of a mechanic.
Just to explain, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes is a kind of puzzle game where one player is trying to defuse a bomb and the other players are a team with manuals in hand and trying to explain how to defuse the bomb, and it's randomized, so the player trying to disarm the thing has to say, I'm looking at a panel that is red and has these serial numbers here and 3 buttons. What should I do? And then everybody else will start reading the manual.
It's pretty much like building a cupboard from that infamous...
IKEA.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it, but just for the whole family.
The Halmenhorst.
Yeah, Malmö.
Malmö.
So I thought that would be cool. And then you could have kind of a campaign thing with all the different obstacles that I forgot his name. The dude on in Martian had to overcome, and the players have to.
Mark Watney, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Watney had to overcome, and theme-wise, that would be very cool too, because it's kind of pop culture with film like Star Wars, for example, or other big franchises, but it's also science-y enough that you could put it into the real world
that
and
you could
not
justify having a real manual.
Yeah, the help out NASA. I mean, come on. So yeah, I think I would like to see something like that.
Is that something you would imagine as a real board game, or something like a video game?
No. Or maybe, I'm talking board games.
Or maybe even similar to, let's say, Alchemists or XCOM, where you have an app.
Yeah, you can have an app, or you can have cards, or a tiny booklet for the players that help out Mark on Mars. But I'm talking board game. I wouldn't be offended by having an app helping. I really like that in some games, but in some games I think it's just unnecessary. So I wouldn't go full video or only full board game. It's fine, but I would like to see that campaign thing where one person tries
you're looking
to
for
do-
a survival
yeah.
game that is also
And the others not just sitting there and
rooted.
looking, but having the, like, for example, Mark being not as smart as he is in the book or movies, but the others have to somehow communicate with him
Well,
and give him.
I mean, he is smart,
hints
but he
and-
also has to rely on help from.
Yes, and I think I would like to see that in a board game campaign style, like Imperial Assault, but other way around.
Yeah.
So
That sounds like a real cool
Yeah,
idea.
maybe
I'd love to see that too.
if we are retired, we make another board game.
After we've wrote some books and comics. And,
Yeah, so many things that we have to do.
What would I love? First, steampunk. Yeah. Hell yeah. Give me more steampunk games. Why are there so few steampunk games out there? I mean, like really good steampunk games with that little brass cogs and stuff. And I love that. Why aren't there more steampunk games?
And I have to intervene here and say she has not played Machina Arcana yet, or other steampunk games we have, which are not that many, but we have
Yeah,
some.
there aren't many. Like in movies, there's not so.
There's actually
much.
quite a lot of, but I think there's
Yes.
not a lot of good steampunk
Yeah,
themed
that's
games.
it. But yeah, that would be. Of course, it's a genre I love. It's always cool. But what would I love to see? First, like we mentioned in an earlier episode, I'm also into video games. And what I enjoy there is like more the building simulation stuff and town building, city building, and what...
I think you want the major super deluxe edition of any game that has stacking involved. Could that be?
We are going to do that. No, but I love the principle of starting out small and growing and having an economy to care for, and this as a cooperational game would sound really cool. Like not just, I mean, we have city building games like Dice City and such things, which are cool games for themselves, but they don't go into that mechanics into whole detail, not comparable to computer games. And
Yeah.
well, it's hard to do. I know that it's not the same thing, and I would love to see that on a board. That you start building cities. That one is the economy minister, one is for I don't know, for certain parts, and you have to work together to make the city grow and not go down. And then maybe you have some something happening like every round. There is
Some obstacle comes, maybe like a tornado, and your city is destroyed partially.
Or maybe in the legacy version, you know, like the city gets destroyed.
boy.
So I'd love to see those things, and also I'm a sucker for role playing stuff. And what I love to see where maybe, I mean, we played pen and paper. I also have a regular pen and paper round for Pathfinder, and we also have those games down there, like the card games, more stuff. And the Pathfinder game you have...
The adventure card game.
The adventure card game, which are for themselves quite nice. But I'd love to see like a box with propped RPG games where you can still build your own story. Maybe you have some stories, but you also get props in your hands to work with, and not just imagining it, but doing a little more, and also not just having a dungeon laid down. I know that exists too, with little miniatures, but going a little further and getting you a little more into the role, because when I'm role playing, I usually do quite hard. I'm not an actor because it's not my thing.
But what you're looking for is something like I've seen that recently released. There's like the Escape the Room sets that you can buy for your home. So
really, there's something like that? I didn't know.
So the escape rooms that you can just go to, which are like a room full of puzzles, and you have to escape from that. But there's I've seen 1 or 2 boxes, but they're more aimed at the families and children, so they're not too difficult. But it's like you get a box with props that you can put up and hide that have clues or stuff.
So you mean away from the table itself, but
Yeah.
no, I'd still be
It's
fine
good.
with
Same-
staying at the table, but
Similar with the dinner crime games that
Yeah.
you can
Oh,
get
yeah.
for.
I've never seen that one once in life. I'd love to see that, but no, it's more like staying on the table, but having something in
Stuff
your
to
hand
work
to
with.
really get into, and sometimes those things inspire you to make new stories.
Yeah.
Then you get an orb which looks like really cool, and you already, when you think of an orb, you are making up a story in your mind what that thing does and what it can do, and I think that would be a nice addition to some of the tables where people are more creative and don't just want to have a set rule set and just get into that, but more freedom to create something.
I mean, you seem to enjoy games where you have to arrange stuff or where you have to build stuff more anyway. So everything,
that's my secret
everything,
passion.
everything
your
that is
superpower.
stuff like tile laying games.
Second
I'm trying to really hard to remember the name of the city building game that
Yeah.
we don't have, but we have the Castles of Mad King Ludwig, which I think I haven't played with you.
Suburbia. was
Suburbia,
the one.
yes.
Yeah, that sounded interesting.
But that is just the laying out a city. What you're describing is almost like some mechanics that goes a little bit beyond that, with having like roles in a town.
I'm really into optimizing stuff and getting the best possible way under given circumstances. That's what I at least love in video games. And doing that in a corporation would be quite cool. Also, you could do it against each other. But I'm not into this stuff that much.
I don't know if there's actually a game where you cooperatively have to run a city.
I don't know any.
And maybe
I've been thinking the whole time.
I don't know if
What if you don't know?
there's something.
It might. Well, we don't know all the games that are out there, so
surprisingly to
it's like, yeah,
me at least.
yeah,
No,
whatever.
I think that could be sounds like an interesting thing. I just don't know how exciting that is to play at a table. But if I would imagine it when you said legacy, it's like, hey, you would have this. You run a city. You have different roles as in let's say Pandemic, but the roles are more like officials to run the city, and then you face a set of events that can come up, like maybe something real like a revolution, or something like, well, Godzilla is running through the city and trashing
Something like
everything,
that,
and now
yeah.
you have to kind of do that.
And you have to manage that, and maybe in the first campaigns you have to start from the very beginning, not
And
with a
build
city,
your
but
city.
yeah, you have to build it, and then depending on how you started out, you will get it easier or less easy later on.
That is not too dissimilar from what SimCity did back then.
Yeah.
I don't think the latest one did that, but stuff like you build your city, and at some point different events would happen, like as literally a monster would walk through the
Although
city.
I didn't enjoy SimCity really, because you were building into until you were so bored because the city was running that you yourself destroyed it in the end. So there was no real. Well, when you got it running, it was fine. So, and you were done. And this wasn't interesting to me. There wasn't any change after some points, and I didn't enjoy SimCity.
What's more horrible than a self-sustaining city in a video game?
I can tell you, not knowing what the next week's question is, so I will take a look at it. It's about switching channels. So I hope you'll join us again next week, when these two are entirely clueless about the question that is on
Did he smuggle questions?
No.
on this piece of paper. And thank you for watching, if you're still watching. If you're not watching, then I could curse you now, but that doesn't make sense because you're not watching it. So whatever, feel thumbed up for watching. Thumb up this if you enjoyed watching us, or thumb it down if you don't. Do it now.
Bye.
Goodbye.